Hey, I'm Older Youngin. I like Saturn. This game's alright. I saw Clockwork Knight 2 back in the glory days where you get a bootleg sampler and probably some pictures. That's all it took, I guess, to get you to buy a game. Maybe a review, I don't know. Anyway, the first game was pretty good to me back in the day. I never had a chance to play the sequel, so finally, after so many long years, I finally have the game and decided to play it. So I'm just going to walk through what's good and then what's bad about this game. Warning, there's spoilers, so don't watch the game if you don't want to see the ending. So let's talk about these goods. So the visuals here are actually not too bad. They look pretty nice. I like the whole 3D, 2D thing that hasn't been done 100 times. But back in 1995, I mean, this looked cool. So it gives you a 32-bit vibe. I've always had a soft spot for 2.5D platformers, but I can't really help but like when you compare this to other launch titles. I mean, Panzer Dragoon may be an Untitled Chapter its own, but compared to that, the visuals here are just kind of okay. I mean, they're not as inspired, but you know, one thing I would really say is this isn't a launch title. That's what makes it even worse. This was 8 months after the console's launch. So you would think that from Clockwork Knight 1 to 2, there'd be a big jump in visuals, but I guess they just kind of didn't care. So that's fine. I mean, there's some goods in this game. I like this clock tower thing. It looks nice. I kept dying right here. It pissed me off, but that's fine. I love this water level, too. It looks pretty cool how, like, the water goes up and down. I mean, I don't know. You have to keep going on sponges and ducks and stuff, so that's pretty cool. The screen curve. Whoa. That's pretty much the only thing I remember growing up. I was like, how did they do that? So, I mean, here, let's just look at that again. Boom. Here it is again. So, gameplay-wise, not bad. It holds a torch to other ones. Other platformers, I guess. It's kind of hard to say, because like, it was kind of ahead of everyone else, but that's fine. Level design is decent. I mean, every level's a little different. You got some scrollers, you got some decent bosses, you got... Every world has a distinct theme that's different. For instance, the study room has these cannons, and then compared to the water level where you got the sponges, so that's pretty cool. You know, the worlds keep going up and down. That's pretty sweet. The final thing I liked about this game a lot was definitely the FMVs. The FMVs were really cool. They gave me that feeling of like 80s Pixar, you know? Like their old animations that when they were just starting out and weren't owned by Disney yet and lost their souls. So that's pretty cool. It's overall, like, game has some goods here. I would say there's a decent amount, but I would still say there's a lot of suckage in this game, so I'm going to talk about that. So here, let's talk about this stuff now. The game really doesn't feel like it got play tested, like, at all. There's rumors out there, and honestly... I think they're true. Clockwork Knight 1 and 2 are actually meant to be one game, not two. You can kind of tell because content-wise, 2 didn't really add anything new. The visuals looked not really all that sharper. The controls are literally the same. They didn't even change them. And it continues right from the first. Like, literally right from the first, right where it ends, it continues on. So, I think they were just hoping it was for sales reasons, hope to get some more money, so that kind of aggravated me. So the same faults in 1 are the same in 2. So if you played 1 and didn't like the floaty controls that will go over a little bit, that doesn't change here. It's still a little floaty. You know, another part that I think is just kind of annoying is due to this reason, they made 2 different games, right? Well, neither game was probably bug tested. Look at this in 2. Like, I got stuck in this pit. I had to sit here for 5 minutes. I got up, I peed, I grabbed a beer, I did some stuff around the house, and then I came back, and then time's still going, because thankfully I had 6 minutes on the clock. 7 minutes, that was just wonderful, like, because, you know, it would have taken me 7 minutes to beat the level. Thank you, Sega, I really appreciate that one. You know, another thing I really didn't like, talking about playtesting, the little castle boss right before the final boss was like a joke. He literally... was so easy that I beat him in one try without really knowing what to do or never playing him before. Because again, this was my first playthrough of this game. So then after him, the final boss also felt kind of like a joke. Like when I beat him, was expecting like a third form, you know, like, oh, maybe I'll fight another Gear Knight or something. Nope. Final cutscene shows it's an old man, and oh, you gotta take my key and shove it in her, and that's it. So difficulty curves too were kind of ridiculous compared, you know, if you're comparing levels 3 and 4, you know, going from the water rising up and down, not too much going on there. The boss took a second to understand. Then you get into the 4th level and all of a sudden you're just dying over and over. You're like, alright, this is pretty unfair. So that was not really cool. Again, let's talk about the controls again. So if you're comparing this platformer to like a normal platformer, like, I don't know, Rayman, Mario Brothers, Mega Man, there's no friction. And if there is, it's very, very minimal, right? This game decides to have friction when you're moving. So, you know, you'll be trying to stop and it's like you're on ice all the time. Now, that doesn't look bad here, but when you start playing the game and get more into it, it can bug you after a while, because when you have like these jumps like on the tower, right? God, you just like realize, wow, these controls are ass. So that was not good. Another thing that really bothered me is, alright, like, we got the Saturn controller, right? It's got 6 buttons and 2 shoulder buttons, right? So how many buttons do you think they use for this game? 3. Guess which button is to run? None of the buttons. That's right, you have to double tap the D-pad in order to run. I'm just mind blown that they couldn't figure that out. I mean, Rayman takes like 3 hours to get your run, but hey, at least it's a button and not double tap. Like, holy crap, I couldn't even believe that. Like, that's something about that bugged me. Yeah, you can mess with the controls, but guess what? Can't change the run button because they don't have one. Thank you, Sega. That was great idea, great planning. Glad you really planned this game out. You know, again, game just felt like a rush job. Just, there was no thought given to this kind of stuff. They just kind of pumped this one out and said, yep, we got another game out in the Saturn. Add that to the shelf. We got about 8 games out now, guys. So, you know, it's just such a mess. So, again, the game was way too short. I can't believe if I had to pay $50 for this back in the day and it was just the same thing as 1, but it's got a 2 on it, I would have been kind of pissed. I even went and looked at the disc size of what, you know, how much each game took on a disc, and the maximum capacity of a Saturn disc is like, I don't know, 475 megs. That sounds pretty standard for CD, right? The first game and the second game combined was just about 557. So if they cut some content, I don't know, compressed some more information, I don't know, borrowed a song or two from different levels, just kind of maybe cut an FMV here and there, I don't know, little stuff like that, right? They probably could have made this one disc and just launched it a little later on the Saturn and actually had like a complete package here. So, you know, I don't know if they really should have thrown all this time into this game. It just seems kind of like a waste. It also would have helped a lot if that boss rush was all 8 bosses from all the games. That would have been like a nice touch, right? You know, like you got all the first game's bosses and then all the second game bosses. They may have did that in 2. I'm pretty sure they didn't. I didn't really try it. I just played through the game and then kind of shut it off because it sucks to me. So, anyway, so let's just wrap this up. Alright, so overall, it's not like a bad game. Yeah, I had a lot of bads on my list. It's just that it's not good either. It's solid in the sense of, hey, it's 1995, this is new, there's no 2.5D platformers, it's kind of a new idea, right? 3D is coming into the limelight, this is all new. So, back in the day, this looked pretty cool, you know, and compared to games, just thinking off the top of my head, that were probably close to launch, like Rayman, Gex, Astal. You compare this game to those, and I bet in 1995, this game was like a new level. It's like, whoa, this is the new generation. It's 3D. So, you know, it's got its charm. The FMVs, too, they have their charm. Compared to Astal, you can tell there was a little more production quality, a little more faith in this game. It's just unfortunate that Sega was trying to dump out as many games as possible in order to meet their rushed launch date that was like 3 months ahead of time. So this game is a product of that, which is very unfortunate because you could tell that maybe they had half a game and they said, hey, take that half a game. Let's get it out with the Saturn's launch. And, you know, whatever Sega branch or studio or whatever was probably like, oh yeah, sure, we'll make a lot of money on this one. So it's unfortunate. If they, like I said, released it maybe in between the two games, like instead of maybe late 95 instead of early 96 for the second and mid 95 for the first, I think this game could have been so much better. Like, put a little more time into it. I shouldn't have been stuck in a pit for 7 minutes and had to just like kind of walk away from the game. You know, maybe add some extra content, like, hey, you can go unlock all the FMVs from all the games, and you got this boss rush mode. Maybe if you beat the boss rush, you could play as a different character. Maybe add more characters. I don't know. I can't think. I mean, he's a 2D sprite. I can't imagine it would take that much space on the disc. So you could probably add that silver dude. I don't remember his name. Or the old guy. The old guy would have been sick. Maybe beat the game on hard mode and you could play as the old man. So I don't know. It's just some ideas. Hopefully Sega watches this. Oh, his name's Ginger, by the way. That's his name. All said and done, game's a 6.5. Lots of missed opportunity. It's a pretty average game. If you're gonna buy it, don't. I think it's way overpriced. Just go buy the first one for half the price and, you know, just bathe in its incompleteness. So that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this review.